I have been involved in the process of developing these accessible summary for urban policymakers that's emerged from the scientific reports produced out of the assessment report 6 cycle of the IPCC. Uh, I have been involved in two ways. One, in terms of managing the process, and secondly, as an author. From a process point of view, this is perhaps the most enterprising effort in terms of bringing together meaningful voices from the practice side, voices in terms of questions and needs, and from the author community, which is as diverse as possible to assemble, responding to those needs emerging from the practice world. Uh, Usually, we have examples written up in scientific reports, but those examples are context specific. Those examples are not comprehensive enough, but it's important to contextualize certain examples from the perspective of both the knowledge producer as well as someone who is going to use that knowledge to uh, think about some intervention or implementation. And that is precisely what the summary for urban policymakers is doing. Uh, if we look at cities, we have three key stakeholders which are operating in the context of cities. One is, of course, the city governments. Second is the business community. And third is the knowledge producers, people who are implementing, producing knowledge, learning from it. From a process point of view, summary for urban policymakers assembled all these critical stakeholders, created these products through an iterative process, which was very intensive, and we have arrived at creating something which I believe is going to be significantly meaningful to decide about urban climate action, but it is also going to be significantly useful in terms of having a very clear narrative in terms of what we are trying to do, how a particular action is going to benefit or impact the climate side of it, and how we are going to create value from the implementation or the action that is being proposed. From a content point of view, I have been part of all the three reports, but have extensively been part of the author team that's responsible for producing the third volume, which is focused on mitigation. From my experience, I would say that it has been very challenging because of the problem, the nature of mitigation effort. For example, most of the decision making is sectoral, but right now, in this present moment, we are talking about or thinking about transformation, and transformation is multi-sectoral. So there's a lot of sectoral connection. It was difficult and challenging to basically find a conceptual hook that helps us articulate a narrative which is accessible, also doable, and also that comes within the remit of the city administration. And that is precisely what we have been able to do. In terms of ensuring that we have representation from all geographical regions, I think if we look at the list of authors, if we look at the city and business community that has participated in the process, uh, it's practically offering a very clear narrative, which will be very useful when we are thinking about planning from a city point of view to be able to respond to the climate challenge. The key takeaway of that I feel is from this process is to basically bring together a diverse set of actors, both from the knowledge producing side as well as knowledge consuming side, to be able to co-create something which is accessible, easy to use, and responds to the most critical challenges of contemporary times, but also is very actionable and doable.